Baker versus Leyla Hirsch match. Since day one of Dynamite Download, I've been a fan of all sorts of people, SPD. But from day one, it's been Pac and it's been Britt Baker. And I think that for me, I feel like Britt Baker, every time you have her on a segment, every time she's in a match, every time she cuts a promo, there is nobody else on this roster who feels more naturally as a star than Britt Baker. She catches your attention. She keeps your attention. She's always on. There are a few people that you can rely on more than her to deliver every single time she's on. Every single time she's on television. And this was another great example. This is going to get an elite out of me. Before I segue it over to you, this is the match. This is the segment that I wanted to talk about the most, honestly. I feel like what AEW is doing with their women's division is absolutely right on track with what they should be doing. I feel like Britt Baker is the star that this division needs to be built around. They have a lot of great stars, and that's not me saying anything against people like Shida, who is the current champion and who's proven to be a great character recently with what she's doing with Abaddon. I love what they're doing with that. Shida actually has been doing great with her acting on that, and we to this point haven't been able to see her in that. But we at Dynamite Download, we love us some Thunder Rosa. We've been banging the drum for Thunder Rosa from the minute we saw her get on screen. Her entrance, her look, everything about Thunder Rosa makes you want to watch. She's electrifying the minute she gets on your television screen. There are all sorts of characters on this show that you could say could be the cornerstone or the foundation of the AEW's women's division. But I feel like the more that they focus in on a few characters, like you talked about, SPD, the more they focus in on building and establishing a few characters, clearly, the more we're going to get invested. And there are no two greater characters on the women's division right now. We're talking about Shida and Abaddon. That's going to be a great feud for the women's championship. But to me, Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker is going to be an absolute jaw-dropper, star-making feud for both of these young ladies. I honestly feel like we talk about helping others climb while you climb.
Yep.
I have a feeling that iron sharpens iron, and when you put Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa together, we saw tonight that pull apart brawl. Some of the shots that those two girls got in on each other. I have a feeling that Thunder might have thrown a couple potatoes at Britt tonight. You had to pull those women apart from each other. I have a feeling that they genuinely are going to push each other. And I know Thunder Rosa's big about this. They're going to push each other to be better because they're going to want to be the best that they can be. They're going to push their opponent to be the best version of themselves. Yep. And that's going to put the best television that you could get on. Britt Baker is a big Pittsburgh Steelers fan. As a Browns fan, it breaks my heart to be a fan of hers. But her favorite team is undefeated, and I think Britt Baker is undefeated on AEW television when it comes to badass, perfect segments. SPD, what were your thoughts on the Britt Baker versus Leyla Hirsch match? What are your thoughts on really Thunder Rosa coming through and again furthering that feud? I know you have to be on board with what we're seeing out of the women's division. This has to be exactly what you were hoping for when you talked about this weeks ago, right?
I mean, just to keep constantly repeating it because it's worth repeating, if you're going to grow a division, grow a core first, and no other better core than these two women right here. And Amen. These two are stars. We are Thunderholics through and through, Thunder Maniacs. We love what she's been doing. We've been following her on social media, and the fact that
if you
I was itching,
Thunder on social media, it's a mistake. She's such a positive person.
Love the positivity.
Really, yes.
And she's doing some great stuff with young wrestlers, so definitely check her out for sure. But these two women by far are the core and what needs to grow with the AEW women's division. This match was outstanding.
Yeah, let's give Leyla Hirsch her just due too. I mean,
I completely
the buzz is going to be about Britt, no doubt. The buzz is going to be about Britt and Thunder, right? But let's give Leyla Hirsch some of her just due because we've seen her on television before. And the first time we saw her, yes, everyone was shocked that she's so short. Okay, let's get over it. All right, let's get over it. that girl can throw some suplexes, man. Right? She's like a little mini Brock Lesnar out there.
I honestly, Suplex City, baby.
Yeah.
I thought she could have taken the victory from Britt Baker. This is the second only elite I've given to a women's match
Look at the
in
trend
Dynamite
coming,
download
brother.
history, because not only Britt Baker, I think, is an absolute star of the division and should be, the president of the division, whether it be segments or in-ring ability. But the fact that Leyla Hirsch, the announcers were putting her over, she had an outstanding performance. If she's not all elite and signed, they need to sign her because she definitely could be part of the core division. Sadly, yes, she is short, and Britt made it. It was perfect because it made Britt look like a giant for her. But on top of Britt looking like a giant, it still made Leyla look strong because she was, the ground moves and all that. And the announcers were really doing a great job hyping up Leyla, and it wasn't a squash match by any means. And, some people be like, who's this Leyla? And you look back at some of her other matches, but this was the strongest I've seen Leyla. And Britt Baker put away a performer that was definitely worthy of a eventually title competitor. I think Leyla has a lot of potential in AEW, and I hope to see more of her. But the fact that, once again, the second week in a row for the women's division, they started with a promo, and it made it more meaningful. Even though it wasn't a promo about Leyla, it was a promo about Thunder. It planted more seeds and grew that feud. And then at that point, you're like, okay. And then we're following Thunder all week. We're like, okay, I don't know if she's going to be at Dynamite tonight.
In Puerto Rico.
I know. Right. And then all of a sudden, boom, the Thunder came, the lightning came, and everything in between, and the post-match fight. And it had to happen. If you don't have Thunder coming out, interrupting Britt's match back to back, like, that's a very big missed opportunity.
Yeah.
And so I think what we're leading up to first is Thunder and Leyla versus Rebel and Britt as a tag match. And then ultimately you look at Revolution, you give it that build. I think you take the build up to Revolution for Britt and Thunder, which could be a co-headline main event.
AEW, take note. I mean, I totally
co-headline. Agree. It could be, I don't know what's going to be the headline, but I don't think AEW is in a position for a women's match headline yet. Their division hasn't grown yet, but it could be a second to last match by far. If anybody on the roster, it's Thunder and Britt Baker for the second to last match at a pay-per-view by far.
That says so much, SPD, coming from you. And honestly, with all the amazing feuds going on right now in AEW, when we're talking about the Death Triangle versus Kingston's family, we're talking about the Nightmare family against Team Taz. There's so much going on in AEW, and for you to recognize Thunder Rosa versus Britt Baker as potentially one of the top matches at the upcoming pay-per-view, that speaks volumes. I couldn't agree with you. I couldn't agree with you more. I really can't. I think that when we talk about what's going on in the AEW women's division, it really needs to start. The conversations need to start with Britt Baker. They need to really, and I think they are recognizing that she is the backbone of this division. They need to build her as the top ace of the division. She's got everything. I've said it from the get-go. I really think that Britt Baker has what it takes. I know that the buzz, a lot of it is about MJF and all these different characters that AEW has as far as younger characters, Orange Cassidy. As far as I'm concerned, there's no bigger bankable star than Britt Baker in AEW. So I think that's that pairing her up against Thunder Rosa, who, again, you and I have talked about at length. Every time she's on screen, she comes out with impact, with intensity, with fire. You can feel it as a fan. You can feel that love and that passion and that fire that she has inside her gut. That she's, again, you follow Thunder Rosa's story. She got involved in this business at a little older age, right? She's somebody who has gone after this because it's her dream, and she's trying to fight to make other women's dreams come true too, with some of the other stuff that she does with Mission Pro Wrestling.
Exactly.
So it's an incredible story to get behind, and you can feel her fire and passion every time she's on the screen. So when you pair her up against someone who's that fiery, so someone who's that intense, and who's that focused on a positive goal, and you pair that up against somebody who is really more focusing on themselves, the star, Britt Baker, right? You have Thunder Rosa, who's all about helping others and who's all about the community and giving back to wrestling community and the women of wrestling. And then you have Britt Baker, whose persona is all about herself. It's a great battle, and it's a great natural reason for why those two would hate on each other, right? Britt Baker,
for sure.
They can continue what they're doing on social media. Those two take pot shots at each other all the time. They're a great clash of the egomaniac and the Doctor versus the underdog story of Thunder Rosa. And I think that we are seeing right here, right now, two of the pillars of this division going forward. This is going to be a showcase that all of us are going to have our eyes on. We love it. Cannot wait to see more of Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker going forward.